Welcome to Litany of Ashes, where forgotten images unlock sinister truths that linger through time today. We explore the unsettling case of a photograph taken in the spring of 1912. A haunting picture that holds a young girl standing in a garden. Roses clutched in her small hands, her eyes strange, her expression far too solemn for her tender age. The plate bore a simple label. Eleanor, May 1912, stored for decades in the archives of the Blackwood Historical Society, nearly lost among countless other fragile images until chance brought it back to light. The Blackwood estate once represented wealth and elegance in Ravenshire County, a vast Victorian mansion surrounded by celebrated gardens known especially for their extraordinary roses. The land belonged to Thomas Blackwood, an ambitious industrialist who thrived in textile manufacturing during America's industrial transformation. Thomas also nurtured an unusual passion for photography, then a relatively new practice he imported. Advanced European equipment, creating a dark chamber within his mansion, a sanctuary where he experimented for hours with lenses, chemicals, and shadow manipulations. He lined shelves with bottles, marked by cryptic labels, placed trays across long benches, and illuminated the chamber with a single red safe light that filled the air with a dim, supernatural glow. His family often saw him vanish into that place at night, driven by curiosity and fascination among his many portraits he captured. His wife Lillian, his son James, and his quiet daughter Eleanor. Lillian dedicated her voice to the suffrage movement. James pursued modern technologies, while Eleanor revealed disturbing tendencies whispered about by the household staff. The photograph of Eleanor holding roses was taken just 3 months before tragedy erased the Blackwoods from existence without explanation. The sudden disappearance in August 1912 shook the Regent Society. Papers filled columns with speculation, but no clear answer ever emerged. The last evening before their vanishing appeared ordinary. The family attended a summer party at the Grand Whitmore estate. Laughter, champagne, and orchestral music filled the warm air. Thomas conversed with gentlemen about politics and the recent Titanic disaster, still fresh in memory. Lillian dazzled in pearls, speaking fervently about women's rights. James mingled with peers while Eleanor remained subdued, her behavior noted by several guests. At one moment, Mrs. Whitmore observed the girl whispering to herself beside the roses, her gaze distant, her expression disturbingly wise for her age. By 10:30, the Blackwoods departed in their Model T Ford, one of the first in the county, chauffeured by William Harper. Upon arrival, Harper carried the sleeping Eleanor inside, then retired to his quarters. No one expected that night would mark the family's last hours. Witnesses later spoke of strange sounds around the estate. One gardener swore he heard singing unlike any human voice. Another claimed to see lights weaving through the rose bushes. Long after midnight, at dawn, housekeeper Mrs. Abernathy began her routine. Yet something felt unnerving. She noticed the kitchen fire cold and extinguished unusual. Since maids always kept embers alive, she moved through silent halls where stillness pressed upon her like an invisible weight. By breakfast time, no family member appeared. Abernathy sent maid Mary Sullivan to fetch them. Minutes later, Mary stumbled back, pale, trembling, whispering, "They are gone." The rooms confirmed her dread: beds, unslept possessions, undisturbed watches, jewelry, hairbrushes, school books. Everything remained as though the family had never left yet. Night clothes lay untouched, suggesting they never prepared for bed. Eleanor's dolls sat carefully arranged, one propped against her pillow, staring at emptiness. The only anomaly, the rear garden door hung open, swinging gently. A faint trail of rose petals led from the doorway across grass toward the ornamental pond, then ceased abruptly, as if swallowed by the water. Police arrived. Sheriff Miller, practical stern, scoured the house. No signs of struggle, no ransom note, valuables untouched. Why would anyone abduct 4 people without trace? Theories of labor unrest surfaced since Thomas had dismissed many workers. But why would enemies take the entire household? Investigators used bloodhounds. The animals circled near the pond, whined, pulled away, Terrified boats dragged nearby. Rivers nothing appeared. The Blackwoods had dissolved into nothingness. Servants whispered of darker explanations. Abernathy recalled finding a drawing within Eleanor's diary, crude, childish lines, depicting a faceless woman among Rose's arms impossibly. Long circles for eyes that seemed alive. Some claimed the ink looked like blood, though Abernathy denied it to reporters. The legend began weaving into the mystery weeks. Passed without discovery headlines shifted focus. America moved forward, yet whispers never ceased. Frederick Blackwood inherited the property uninterested. He let the mansion fall. Silent gardens, decayed roses, withered, dust-veiled rooms and trunks stored possessions untouched. Frederick died in 1938, leaving the estate to the county, eventually transformed into a museum. Yet funds remained scarce, items stored carelessly in attics, boxes stacked, forgotten for decades, until the late 1990s, when preservation efforts uncovered Thomas Blackwood's photographic plates. Among them, the image of Eleanor with Rose's Dr. Elizabeth Morgan, professor at Ravenshire University, studied early 20th century photography. She received permission to examine the neglected collection, her focus purely technical, until Eleanor's photograph arrested her attention. The child's look unsettled her. Modern scanning revealed hidden details and shadows behind the girl. Faint outlines suggested a figure, a woman standing unnaturally still among roses, at first dismissed as flaws. But contrast adjustments sharpened an impossible form. Intrigued, Dr. Morgan sought help from Dr. James Chun, digital restoration specialist. Chun enhanced the vague shape, producing an image of a woman in period attire, with distorted anatomy, arms too long, neck thin, face obscured, yet unnervingly wrong. A hand stretched toward Eleanor's head, hovering inches away, while the child remained unaware. This disturbing discovery drew the interest of Dr. Rachel Sullivan, folklorist, anthropologist, and distant relative of Maid Mary Sullivan. Rachel collected legends surrounding the Blackwood grounds. Locals long called the gardens the Rose Widows garden, tied to tales of Evangeline Thorne, the estate's previous mistress. Evangeline, obsessed with roses, reportedly cultivated dark crimson blooms. Nearly black neighbors feared her. Her husband died mysteriously. Rumors of poisoning spread during the devastating blizzard of 1887. She was found frozen among roses, arms unnaturally stretched. Her daughter vanished, never recovered. Locals spoke of laughter among bushes, whispers of a pale woman, children warned to stay away. Thomas Blackwood dismissed superstition, yet he cultivated Evangeline's roses, proudly displaying them as thorns. Midnight Dr. Sullivan explained these tales to Morgan and Chun. The three researchers' united curiosity, driving them deeper. Archives revealed architectural plans showing tunnels beneath the garden, built originally for drainage. Thomas modified them in 1910, adding chambers, wiring, ventilation, heavy reinforcements, suggesting deliberate hidden use. Business records showed unusual chemical purchases unrelated to common photography, hinting at secret experiments the team obtained permission for. Site exploration accompanied by officials. Archaeologists used ground-penetrating radar, confirming tunnels more elaborate than plans indicated, including an undocumented chamber excavation. Uncovered a stone hatch sealed beneath a statue, once part of garden decor. Beneath lay a staircase descending into shadow. Stale air with a faint rose scent drifted upward. They entered cautiously, lights illuminating brick walls, mud-coated floors, eventually opening into a circular chamber. Shelves collapsed. Broken glass bottles, photographic equipment, scattered drains, cut-through floor, metal rings embedded in stone, hinting at sinister purpose. This secret room appeared to serve as a hidden, dark room, yet designed for more than images. Curiosity grew stronger. Another passage led to a smaller alcove containing a brass box engraved with roses, morphing into anguished faces. Surprisingly intact, despite decades. Inside lay photographic plates and a journal belonging to Thomas Blackwood. The diary revealed disturbing observations describing Eleanor's unusual behavior, conversations with unseen companions, Nighttime wanderings into the garden mention of a rose lady whispering secrets. Drawings of faceless women, arms stretched, eyes dark circles. Thomas documented attempts to capture the apparition using experimental emulsions, blending silver nitrate with extracts from black roses. Results revealed spectral figures in photographs. His writings grew erratic, referring to the entity as widow. Noting her strength near roses, he described increasing manifestations. Eleanor, speaking of another garden beneath soil, final entry dated August 17, 1912. Written hours before disappearance, recorded his decision to burn photographs and seal tunnels, warning that some doors once opened cannot close. Researchers stunned by these revelations examined plates, discovering images never before seen. Eleanor. Sleepwalking, misty forms, looming distorted figures. Beside her, reflections that chilled every viewer, among them the original rose. Photograph enhanced again, showing faint outlines of something reaching toward her. The story deepened when archaeologists discovered a jar hidden behind bricks within the chamber, holding a pressed black rose of unnatural color. Preserved remarkably, a note attached written in child's hand read, "For Daddy." The Rose Lady says this will help you see her garden too calm. Find us chilling evidence suggested Eleanor's connection with the entity. Morgan, Chun, and Sullivan theorized the family entered tunnels upon returning from the Whitmore party, following Eleanor into subterranean chambers where fate consumed them. Speculation persisted, but truth remained elusive months later, while Morgan and Chun analyzed materials. Dyer Sullivan vanished after visiting the site alone. Security cameras captured her approaching bushes, where for an instant a pale woman appeared. Before both figures disappeared without trace petals found at the pond again, echoing history, leaving authorities, baffled researchers disturbed by chilling parallels, yet compelled to dig deeper. Authorities treated Dr. Sullivan's disappearance as tragic misadventure, yet the absence of tracks or signs bewildered every officer. Surveillance footage leaked privately among researchers, igniting speculation. Whispers spread across campus, and within the county, locals insisted the Rose widow had claimed another victim. Dr. Morgan and Dr. Chun refused to abandon their work despite pressure. They expanded examinations of journals, artifacts, and plates stored within university laboratories. Countless hours passed beneath the pale glow of monitors. Digital enhancements exposed new anomalies, faint shapes drifting across multiple plates. Outlines resembling skeletal branches wrapping around Eleanor, her dress illuminated by unnatural gleam. Chun noticed repeating patterns matching ancient floral iconography, specifically funerary rose carvings, once common in 17th century tombs. Morgan consulted art historians, who confirmed parallels describing imagery linked with death. Transition and guardianship between worlds. Folklore suggested roses served as veils, separating life from spirits. These findings intensified interest, yet also uneased. Rumors circulated that late-at-night screams echoed from university archives. Janitors avoided lower storage levels, claiming roses bloomed in vases, though no one placed them inside. Dr. Morgan documented each phenomenon, but colleagues dismissed her reports as stress-induced illusions. She remained steadfast, convinced that the Rose Widow existed beyond metaphor. County newspapers revived the story, branding it Ravenshire's most enduring enigma, drawing tourists, thrill seekers, and paranormal enthusiasts. The abandoned Blackwood Mansion reopened for tours, curiosity booming. Visitors roamed silent halls, touched with dread. Photographs of Eleanor, displayed beneath glass cases, whispered about by countless eyes. Museum staff reported roses inexplicably placed upon the child's image each morning, removed, discarded, yet returned again. Guides confessed hearing faint laughter in gardens, though grounds remained locked nightly. One evening, security guard Alan Foster vanished during patrol, his radio discovered beside pond petals scattered across ripples echoing earlier vanishings. Panic followed. Museum closed. Investigations launched again. Local clergy organized rituals, seeking to cleanse ground. Yet every rite ended with roses wilting prematurely, priests described suffocating presence, mocking their prayers. Morgan and Chun recorded testimony conducting interviews with elderly villagers who recalled stories from grandparents. One tale described Evangeline Thorne conducting midnight rituals with roses, whispering invocations, said to draw spirits into blossoms. Another recounted a chilling wedding night when Evangeline appeared in neighbor's mirror behind the bride arms. Stretched thin face obscured whispers, telling the bride her husband would not live to see dawn. He died 3 nights later from unknown illness. Morgan concluded the Rose Widow represented continuity and inherited presence, manifesting through generations, feeding upon innocence of children, especially those bound to roses. The focus returned to Eleanor, whose photograph continued to reveal layers. Every enhancement exposed new marks, spectral fingers embedded within her hair, faint inscriptions across petals forming Latin fragments translating to open the soil, open the garden. The team linked these with Thomas Blackwood's final writings, references to another garden beneath the ground, perhaps. Dimensional threshold disguised beneath flowers. Chun devised spectral filters, layering multiple plate exposures, forming composite images. Results shocked them, producing clearer portrait of the Rose Widow, pale face finally visible, hollow sockets, mouth wide, forming smile. Unnatural, beyond human capacity. Eleanor stood calmly, hand outstretched, as though willingly accepting the present. Scholars confronted terrifying possibility. She served not as victim, but as conduit, willingly bridging her family to another realm. Desperate for truth, Morgan pushed authorities for excavation of deeper tunnel segments, arguing potential historical significance. Despite objections, work began. Heavy machinery tearing earth near original chamber excavation, uncovered stairwell, sealed with iron bars fused by time workers. Cut through air thick with rose scent, rushed upward, unsettling. Many they descended, discovering chamber larger than cathedral, lined with carvings, roses entwined with skeletal figures, stone reliefs depicting women with veiled faces, arms extended toward children, mosaics of crimson tile fragments, forming petals as if chamber itself grew from roses. At center stood pool filled with stagnant water, yet surface shimmered unnaturally, mirrors reflected light. Although chamber contained none, Dr. Morgan trembled, realizing they had uncovered sight. Thomas Blackwood described another garden, officials disturbed by atmosphere. Suspended work, yet Morgan and Chun sneaked inside, gathering samples. Photographs. One image captured reflection of Eleanor, though camera pointed nowhere near. Portrait distinct, unmistakable, child's solemn face, gazing from shimmering pool. Chun fainted when he saw it, convinced they trespassed threshold designed for summoning. Every subsequent night, roses sprouted along excavation fences. Despite constant removal, scent overwhelming, spreading across county. Villagers panicked, livestock refused to graze near estate. Birds avoided skies overhead, animals died without explanation. Folklorists declared curse renewed. Meanwhile, Morgan uncovered more pages within Thomas's journal, hidden between loose boards at mansion. He confessed Eleanor spoke nightly with widow, who promised eternal family unity within her garden. Thomas admitted allowing rituals, hoping to secure immortality for bloodline, but realized too late. Sacrifice demanded total surrender. His warnings grew frantic, concluding with plea, whoever finds this must resist. Roses cannot be trusted. Upon release of these discoveries, paranormal researchers invaded area, capturing recordings of voices humming lullabies or sobbing within bushes. Devices registered electromagnetic surges, sudden temperature drops. Seasoned investigators fled. Shaken tourists left offerings, dolls, ribbons, roses at gates, believing appeasement necessary. Tragedies continued. Documentary crew filming inside mansion. Vanished equipment discovered. Running, capturing final frame of woman stepping from shadows, arms stretching unnaturally wide. Public hysteria forced government to seal property, declaring hazard zone, but fences could not restrain whispers. Stories spread online, fueling obsession. Hashtags connected to Rose Widow, trending repeatedly, Countless viewers examined photograph of Eleanor. Posted digitally, many reported distortions upon prolonged viewing, seeing harms. Emerged from frame, some claimed roses appeared upon desks after. Watching reports of nightmares, common dreams of gardens, underground laughter. Echoing until waking, sweating, fearful psychologists warned of mass hysteria, yet phenomena persisted. Chun withdrew from project, claiming visions haunted him. Morgan persevered, hosting lectures showing evidence, though audiences often fainted or fled overwhelmed. She concluded, presence attached image itself functioning as vessel, replicating curse across technology, transmitting widow through light, itself skeptics challenged. Her but incidents multiplied one evening during presentation. Auditorium plunged into blackout projector, still running upon restoration. Screen displayed not slides, but live image of auditorium itself, empty except for woman among roses before vanishing. Crowd panicked, many refused to attend her talks again. Morgan resigned soon after retreating into isolation, still releasing occasional papers. Warning about photographs, functioning as Bridges community, regarded her as eccentric yet underground. Followers hailed her as prophet of unseen truth. Decades after original photograph discovery, mystery remained unresolved, bodies, never recovered, explanations elusive. Eleanor's image persisted, drawing endless speculation, whether victim or willing. Participant remains unanswered, skeptics insist collective imagination shapes myth, believers assert evidence overwhelming, whichever side truth favors. Tragedy persists, family vanished, roses bloomed, shadows linger, tale survives whispered across generations. Even now, as you hear this story, imagine photograph frozen in glass frame, delicate girl's solemn gaze, roses pressed tight, every detail ordinary, yet behind her waits. Figure silent, patient, waiting for eyes to notice, once seen, never forgotten. Roses follow, whispers spread, and perhaps even now, while you listen, faint scent of roses drifts nearby, carrying memory of Eleanor, carrying touch of widow, carrying warning that some gardens are not meant for visitors. Some doors once opened will never close. Beware the next rose you see, for it may not belong to this world.